the evolution of human beings, and you say that when you study prehistoric history and you see how human beings evolved over a period of time, we evolved, as you're aware, from the Darwinian theory, we have evolved, our brains have evolved generation after generation. Every feature that allowed us, or our ancestors, great ancestors, to survive was a feature that was promoted, and every feature in our genetic sort of making which was detrimental to us was weaned away. So let me give you in a very anecdotal example. Let's say during evolution there were two tribes. I'm simplifying it, of course, but let's say there was tribe one, which was a very brave tribe, consisted of very brave people. When they would see a saber-toothed tiger or a mammoth, they would decide to attack it by themselves. Or, for example, if they saw a big crevice, they would run up to the crevice and hope to jump across. Or they would see a bright red fruit and they would eat that even if they've never seen it before. And let's say there is another tribe which is actually much more afraid. And now this tribe does not, when it sees a mammoth, the person realizes that I can't take on this mammoth by myself. I need to go back, get more help, and then come back again. Or if they see a crevice, they would say, I'd rather walk down and come up to the other side. Similarly, if they saw a very bright red fruit, which they've never seen in their life before, they would prefer not to bite into it and prefer to give it to an animal to see what would happen. So very, very cautious tribe. So there is a tribe A, which is a fearless tribe, and there is a tribe B, which is a cautious tribe. Whose descendants do you think we all are? Tribe A or tribe B? Tribe B, tribe A did not have descendants. They all died. So when you look at evolution, the fear that we feel is actually a gift. And let me explain this to you in another way. When born, there are three primal emotions that all human beings have hardwired into them. And matter of fact, not just human beings, every living creature. If a creature is living today, it has three hardwired emotions sort of welded into the genetic DNA. The first is, of course, hunger, because without food, you cannot. The baby, when it is born, the first thing it seeks is food. The second is fear. Because it is fear that keeps us away from danger. So if you look at the evolution of our brain, the human brain has evolved into what is called three different parts. Of course, I'm oversimplifying everything over here. So if there are any, medical people listening to it, don't criticize me on this. I'm making it very, very simple. The first brain is called the reptilian brain. It's called the reptilian brain because we share it with reptiles. And if you want to know where it is in your head, if you made a fist like this, and if this was your brain, this is where the reptilian brain would be. The reptilian brain is the one that handles all the functions like breathing, eating. If I were to throw something at you, you would immediately move out of the way. This is all being done by the reptilian brain. The middle brain, which evolved much later, is much more to do with emotions, likes, dislikes. It gives us the feeling of love, the feeling of affection, the feeling of ownership. It all comes from the midbrain. And finally, the third part of the brain is called the neocortex. And the reason why it's called the neocortex is because new brain, neocortex, which means it developed just a few hundreds of thousands or millions of years ago. But this is the last part of the brain to develop. This is the part which the frontal lobe, which allows us to make decisions, which allows us to compare funds and P ratios and all of these calculations. These are done by the frontal brain. But whenever there is an emergency, whenever there is a crisis, whenever you feel afraid, our genetic DNA takes us back to the reptilian brain. And there's a good reason for that. Let's say you are going into a deserted building after the rains and you open the door and suddenly some rope-like thing falls on your shoulder. What do you think will happen? Do you think the neocortex will decide, let me take a look at this rope, whether it's a rope or a snake? Or do you think the instant response will be handed over to the reptilian brain, which will immediately do a jhatka like that and you will get out of the way? So whenever a human being is afraid, they actually take the thinking goes back to the reptilian brain. And this is a very important aspect to remember, that as we are exposed to a fearful situation, a lot of our logical thinking goes out of the window. So many times when we teach people to be in crisis, when we teach people to be in a fearful situation or an unknown situation, so one of the most fearful situations is the one that is unknown to you. And that is why when you land in a new country, or you are in a new locality, or you're in a new group of people, you are much more fearful, and it takes a little bit of opening up and familiarity before which, I mean, let me give you a very simple example, which all of us may identify with. I'm hoping all of us will identify. Remember the first ever time you went into a 5-star hotel? First time. You're very, waiter na puch le kya kar raha hai yahan pe? It's almost like that. And today you walk into that place as if you own that place. What happened? That was a new experience to you. And when it became familiar, it became okay. So the unfamiliar is always something that we are afraid of. Now, which means that when a crisis like this happens, which is happening to us right now, with the COVID, or the belief that things may go wrong, or the fear that things may go wrong, our sense, our thinking starts going back to a reptilian brain. And that is something that we have to be cautious of. So there is no shame in saying that I experience fear, because fear is actually a gift. Fear tells you that A, you are a human and you are alive, and B, it prepares you to handle. A matter of fact, if I had a team and half of them were of the opinion that this COVID, ye ho jayega 3-4 mahine mein, we'll go back to business as usual, there is nothing to worry about. And the other team says, hey, listen, this might be a paradigm shift. And if I am overestimating, maybe I'm wrong, but I'd rather react as if that piece of rope is a snake than to react as if it is a rope and it turns out to be a snake. Now, that is the human DNA. The human DNA is geared to assume the worst case scenario. It is a genetic evolution of ours. So the 2 points I want to illustrate: first, 1, fear is a gift. There is nothing to be afraid of. 2, when we are in fear, we should be cognizant of the fact that our thinking brain surrenders the control to the reptilian brain, and that is something that we need to be cautious about, and we need to bring the control back to the thinking brain. And matter of fact, it is said in another way in many books, and they say a hero is a person who is brave for just 5 minutes longer. That's it. So if a person is able to control that fear and think rationally, think what decisions were taken with a logical part of the brain, how do those decisions change just because it's a crisis? It should not change just because it's a crisis, and you'll suddenly start getting control of the thinking brain over the reptilian brain.